whips. Can't read the screen, gotta take it to the dealership. 10,000 square feet for the pool.
Today's episode of Noonie G, Voice of the Street, I got the best man in the world. I got Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson, the mayor. I got him here. And I want y'all to look at him, and I want y'all, I'm going to say this ahead of time. I know I'm supposed to do certain different things, right? We need him in here again, y'all. We need him, man. We need him. We gave all them other creeps of what's name, give this real brother a chance. Man, say something. We got something to say before we start talking.
Hey, what's going on, Brother Noonie, man? Thanks for having me on. Thank you for your work and the platform that you provide for so many people. Thank you for always being connected to the ground in the neighborhood, in the community, you know, right where the action is, man. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation. And again, I appreciate and respect the work that you do for our people.
Thank you, man. Man, I let the people know I met the man long, maybe when he first started running, doing my man Ray. SEIU, Ray kept telling me, like, man, I need you to, this is my guy, I need you to help me, man. I don't know him, man. He said, man, just help me, because I helped Ray with Monica, right?
Yeah.
Me and Ray, the street team, we did our thing, right? And then my buddy Jonathan Jackson, like, Noonie, I need you to help me. I said, well, he said, well, Brandon, I'm like, oh, okay, this is done. Oh, this is a done deal, man. You know what I mean? But, man, when we got out there, man, and it was, and I mean, for real, it was a pleasure. We dealt with a lot of stuff, right? And I kept saying, I don't know, it's something about this brother, man. It's something about this brother. You know what I mean? I said, what you said? He kept saying, well, what you mean? This brother here, man. What I mean is, I said, he articulate, he reminded me of Obama, he reminded me of Harold Washington. It's just something about this brother, for real. And I ain't making this up, man. I mean, for real, I said something about him. And then, when we started putting stuff out there, we was doing what we was doing, everything. And then we got to me and you was together for the first time at the Latino thing. The Latino they met. I showed you a picture of Monique. My girl, Monique. You told me, how you know me? I say, it's my little sister. We grew up together. We still talk every day. He told me to tell you how anyway. So when you start running for office, man, everybody had a lot of doubts. And I was like, I don't know the brother, but you know what I mean? I know Paul and them, these other people, you know what I mean? I ain't be honest with you though, man. I didn't think you was gonna take up like this, but see, God, you know, none of what God, you know, God got his stamp. When I'm asking you now, man, tell me, man, what made you decide to run to be the man?
Well, first of all, you know, it's always been, you know, my desire to see a city that allows for every single individual, regardless of where they live, where they come from, their background, to be able to have a fruitful and prosperous life in Chicago. Unfortunately, for our people in particular, Black folks, that has not been the case for us. You know, I started teaching in our public schools in Cabrini Green as a middle school teacher, taught high school social studies on the west side at Westinghouse, and I just saw the tale of two cities, right, where our people were chasing down a dream that was unreachable, while, you know, the ultra-rich in this city continued to benefit from the largesse of our economy. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to give our people real voice. And I think the other thing, too, that was just driving me was that, you know, for so long in our society, you know, those of us who come from humble beginnings, those of us who come from working class, low income, and poor families, that people don't take our drive and our stories seriously. And I've shared my own personal journey growing up in a household with, you know, it was 10 of us, right, with one bathroom, and just dealing with the struggle of every single, you know, week. You know, my father was trying to make sure that those ends met up, and they didn't, right? So whether it was an empty refrigerator or water that was cut off, or the orange extension cord from our window to the neighbor's window just to keep electricity moving, for a lot of my students and for people who grew up under those circumstances like myself, politics didn't respond to our issues. And so I set out to change that, to build safe and affordable communities across the city of Chicago. And that's what I've been on since I've been in office.
Now I know you got a lot more to continue doing, but what you just told me, do you feel right now you accomplished some of that right now?
I do.
Okay.
I do. There's a lot of work to be done, as you
That's
know.
what I said. A lot of work to be done. That's what I see.
You know, Brother Noonie, we've had decades of neglect right? And from, the public assets being sold off, whether it's the Skyway or the parking meter
Yeah, meters
deal,
deal, yeah,
right? The
yeah.
fact that we had administrations who did not pay into pensions. We've had police settlement, debt and circumstances, right? Because of police brutality, right? So we've had all of these, economic challenges that administration after administration just neglected to do the right thing, right? And then on top of that, our schools have been closed. Black folks have lost jobs.
Yes.
We've shut down public housing, right? I can go on and on. And so since I've been in office, we've worked to address one, the financial challenges that we are experiencing, but the two things that are incredibly important to me is making sure that our communities are safe and that we can afford to live in our neighborhoods, right? And so since I've been in office, remember I said that in order to drive violence down in the city of Chicago, we have to invest in communities. And since I've been in office, violent crime has continued to go down.
Yes, yes.
This year, we're experiencing record-breaking numbers. For instance, Brother Noonie, and I know you know this,
Yep.
but this summer we had the fewest amount of homicides in a summer since 1965, 60 years, right? And look, one homicide, one shooting, that's one too many. And yet we are moving in the right direction. Violent crime is down. Homicides are down 30%. Shootings are down 35%. Shooting victims are down 35%. Robberies are down. As a whole, we are moving towards a safe and affordable big city, which is really my ultimate goal, is to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. And the way we do that is we have to invest in people.
And I know you're right. This was positive for me when I don't say when Trick or Dick was in office. Man, I'm talking about crazy man up there, and president, when he said, "Well, it's so much crime and so much," I'm like, wait a minute, man. I live in Chicago all my life. These numbers are low. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I'm missing something around here. You know what I mean? But
I do know what you mean. In fact, I'm glad you highlighted that because, it was 1974, 970 homicides. 1995, well over 800 homicides. 2016, almost 800 homicides. 2021, 805 homicides, right? This year, I believe, as of today, mid-September, we're at about 303 homicides. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of life that it's been lost. But I think to your point, I remember in the 90s, the 90s were brutal, right? Throughout the 90s, consistently, we're looking at 800, 900, almost 1,000 homicides. And that was unacceptable. At that time, there wasn't the intentional, concerted effort to drive violence down by using strategies that ultimately work. Now we've embraced strategies that a generation ago or just an administration ago did not see as valuable. One of the things that I've taken a lot of pride in is two things. One, revamping our detectives division by promoting 200 more detectives. Our Detectives Bureau communicates better with our counterintelligence. Our frontline officers are providing far more, detail on the ground to be able to get the evidence processed, right? And so now we have a clearance rate of about 74, 75%. So in other words, those individuals who are committing crime, we're holding them accountable. But the other thing too, though, that was important to me was investing in CVI, our community violence intervention workers. I mean, these are the brothers and sisters who are on the front line, man, and every day throughout the city of Chicago, preventing violence from happening and interrupting violence and stopping retaliation from taking place. And, I believe that is part of the combination that has led to the decline in homicides and shootings in the city of Chicago.
And that's a blessing because they know the streets. Like most people, everybody in Chicago and all over know who I am. Okay, when you said in the 90s, I was part of that foolishness. You know what I mean? And I thank God I get a chance to play part of the solution now. And I'm glad that you look, because I mean, we had a conversation a long time ago, and you asked me, he was like, man, what's the street saying about me? Remember me asking you? He said, yeah, I said, man, you want me to say, yeah. So they think you sold out. And you said, you got man, like, why people think I sold out? Because of them? I said, man, you asked me. I'm telling you, he said, yeah. He said, okay, I know what to do. He said, how? My father was a preacher. I think you said your father was with Martin Luther King or somebody, or with Jesse, somebody.
He was part of the NAACP. Yeah,
He said,
right,
now,
right.
how would I? That don't even go with my background.
Yeah.
So I said, cool. But then, what got me though, man, I'm going to tell you what got me right before that. When you was running for office and you said this, I said, he done blew it, man. You said, well, ask you, what about, how come my people can't be downtown? How come my people can't get a good job? How come my people can't open up business? How come my people, I said, uh-oh, they're down with him. But you said it. And I said, man, these people gonna say he just gonna do it for the blacks, right? You didn't bar none, and that's the way I have the most respect for you. Because you said, well, everything you said to me, I watched you said it, and you go on top of it now.
Well, I'm glad you highlighted that, man. That's important to me. There's no way you can build a safe, affordable Chicago without investing in Black Chicago, right? We've borne the brunt of all of the negativity, right? And look, I was a part of the movement that pushed back against the Emanuel administration when it came to shut down our schools and firing Black educators. I took arrests, I marched in the streets, I organized people, we organized a faith community, we organized mothers and fathers around this city to push back against school privatization, but also we pushed back against this notion that the only way in which our communities can develop is through law enforcement, right? And so that's why I put forward, Brother Noonie, a year and a half ago, a $1.25 billion bond investment for housing and economic development, specifically for the west and south sides of Chicago. It's the largest investment for economic and housing development in the history of Chicago. And what frustrates me is that not enough of our people know those type of investments. And so, look, I'm just going to name, the thing that's in the room, because people were upset that we were forced to deal with a crisis that the federal government ignored. And when I became mayor, there were people who were sleeping on floors in police districts. I think what's fascinating to me is that people somehow believe there's this narrative that migrants didn't start getting shipped to Chicago until I became mayor. No, look, when they were being shipped to Chicago, the state of Illinois was putting them in hotels and then stopped doing it. The state of Illinois was paying for that. They stopped doing it. And then I don't know what the decision was. I'm not even here to judge that. Right. But somehow somebody said it was okay to just drop people off at police districts sleeping on the floor. Now, listen, if I didn't clean up this crisis, folks would have said the brother don't know how to handle a crisis. Right. By responding to the crisis, then somehow people believe that that's all that I did, and that's not true. And here's the thing. The city of Chicago, I want to make sure this is absolutely clear. Not only did the state stop housing these individuals, they were dropped off in police districts on the floor. There was already a bill attached to what was not done prior to me getting here. And so I walked into a situation where there was a bill that was unpaid and you had individuals sleeping on the floors. The city of Chicago did not hand checks to migrants. In fact, we actually gave dollars to Black organizations to actually help house and support the migrants, right? And so here's the other part that I just want to make sure that we clear up. It was less than 1% than our overall budget. People just swear that there were millions of dollars. I've heard rumors about link cards. The city of Chicago, we don't even issue link cards, right? We didn't give anybody cars. We didn't give anybody free housing. The state of Illinois provided those type of temporary housing situations for migrants. And I'm not saying that they should not have. What I did as mayor, I set up shelters so that they wouldn't be on the floors and all throughout the alleys of the city of Chicago, causing that much more damage. And then the last thing that I think is important, no one had an answer for this around the country. No one, not even the federal government. Right. So I put forth an ordinance to basically challenge these buses who were being sent to the city of Chicago to work with us to regulate how buses arrived. Once I put that ordinance in, buses stopped coming to Chicago. I was the first elected leader in the entire country to solve the bus crisis coming up from the border that not even the federal government had an answer for. Here's my point, Brother Noonie, that getting people off the floors in police districts, that was the least I could do. There was not a single dime or check that was handed to a migrant. We actually paid workers, of which a good portion of them were residents of the city of Chicago, to provide temporary shelter for them. But here's the thing that we did that I believe is most important. People said during the campaign that we have to address homelessness in Chicago. So what did we do? We turned the shelter system into a single shelter system so that no matter who you are, you get to have shelter.
Exactly.
Now, for the first time in over a decade, there's not a single family, Black included, that's looking for shelter that doesn't have a place to live. In fact, the vast majority of the individuals that are in our shelter system now that I built, that I actually invested in, are Black families. And then we took it one step further. I put forth $40 million more to go into shelter systems that primarily provide support for the formerly incarcerated and our people. It was the largest investment for a shelter system in the history of Chicago. So what am I getting at? The crisis was already there. I solved it.
You solved it.
Fixed it without federal support. And here's the part that was so disrupting or so offensive, is that when Ukrainian migrants and refugees came to the city of Chicago, no one complained.
No one.
I didn't hear anyone complain.
No one.
And the federal government put hundreds of millions of dollars behind those individuals. I'm not saying that they should not have, but what is most upsetting is that we've allowed white folks to set the narrative about how this Black mayor is showing up in this moment. Not only did we respond to this crisis that no one had an answer for, the federal government left us to ourselves, and we built a system that ultimately provides support for our people. And then I doubled down on that effort to make sure that not only are we providing support for shelter systems, I'm going back to the original part of this conversation, the $5 billion bond investment, where we have built brand new housing in Inglewood. We just cut the ribbon on a unit in Inglewood, the first of its kind in over 50 years, where we reopened mental health clinics. No other mayor has done that since Mayor Harold Washington. And then check it out. Not only are we building more affordable units with this $1.25 billion bond investment, where we are on pace to build 10,000 conservatively over the course of my first term. Not only did we put hundreds of millions of dollars into our shelter system to support Black families in particular, who are overwhelmingly the ones who are unhoused, we have provided more mental and behavioral health care services. We reopened the mental health clinic in Roseland, right? That mental health clinic was shut down by the Emanuel administration. I stood alongside of those advocates when they chained themselves to the building to prevent it from closing.
Yeah.
I reopened it. Here's the value in all of that though, Noonie. 2024, there were about 5,900 appointments at the Roseland Mental Health Clinic. People said that no one will ever use it. It's a waste of time to reopen it. People will always tell you that. They believe it's a waste of a time to invest in our people. We reopened it anyways. Do you know this year we have almost 12,000 appointments that have been made at the Roseland Mental Health Clinic? 12,000 appointments. And these are the type of investments that I've made. And when you talk about my motivation is always centered around how do we liberate our people and how does government play a part in that? So whether it's building more affordable housing, we just put forth another economic plan that allows for vacant lots to be transferred over to community-based organizations to build affordable housing units. We just built 75 in Roseland, Woodlawn, North Lawndale. There's another 100 lots that we have turned over to these community-based organizations that are building homes in our communities. And so whether it's responding to the unhoused, whether it's building more affordable housing, whether it's mental health related services, I'll give you one more, investing in our young people. 31,119 summer jobs for young people. The vast majority of them are on the west and south sides of Chicago. It is the largest investment that we've seen for paid summer jobs. I'm not talking about volunteer internships. I'm talking about actually hiring our people. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone into our communities. And then I could take it one step further. When you think about the vacancy in our communities, we have vacant lots all over this city, particularly in North Lawndale and Inglewood. And so what we've done through my economic bond investment, it's something called the missing middle, where we work with developers that will build owner-occupied homes. So you live in one unit and you rent the next. So the first pilot that we broke ground on, 6 developers, 5 of them were Black developers, building these owner-occupied homes so that we can build generational wealth. Missing middle, owner-occupied homes, vacant lots going to Black developers, reopening mental health clinics, investing in the unhoused, investing in our young people. And people are still talking about less than 1% of our budget that we spent to get people off the floor because the federal government refused to actually show up for human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, if people want to judge me on how we responded to individuals who were sleeping on the floors, I'm not mad at them. I won't even judge them for that. What I'm simply asking people to do is to look at the entirety of my entire work within just 2 years in office. Now, there's more work for us to do with all of those investments, Noonie. The fact that April was the fewest amount of homicides in an April in 60 years. Summer, the safest summer, fewest homicides in 60 years. We are moving in a direction that, quite frankly, we have not seen for our people ever. Black developers, Black homeowners, Black children receiving jobs, Black folks who are coming home from prison have now systems in place where they can get support. Black folks getting mental health treatment. That wasn't happening before I became mayor.
It wasn't. They cut it out.
But now we're doing it, Brother Noonie, and we're doing it together. I'm not doing this by myself. It's a collective response. There are a lot of great people that, I've brought into my administration to help get this work done. But, building the safest, most affordable big city in America, the only way we do that is by investing in Black people.
Man, this is what I'm saying. So I know this. I know all this. So how you gonna get this out? Because you can't. They don't know that all this one negative. This got to get out, man. This after it's gonna get out on my show and everywhere else, but this got to get out because they got one thing on you, and you got 15 things that you done did and to make things better. This got to get out, man. This got to get out because they don't know, man. We don't know. You know how he is, man. We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if we knew better, we'd do better.
That's absolutely right. And that's why, really, I do respect the work that you do and giving me opportunity to give voice to the investments that we're making on this podcast. And we're going to do more. We're going to spend even more time in the neighborhoods, talking to our people, engaging with our people, because you're right. It's you mentioned earlier, so my father was a pastor, man.
Yeah.
And, I remember a scripture that was, very, revealing for me. It's in Mark chapter 8, and it talks about Jesus warns the disciples of beware of the yeast of the Pharisees.
Yes.
And we're basically beware of those who oppose you. If you're not aware of those who oppose you, they're going to spread the negativity about you, and like yeast, it rises.
Man.
And so, I wish I would have, recalled that scripture earlier in my administration, because I would have spent more time having these type of conversations. And I spent a lot of time just doing the work, right? And I took for granted that people would just know that we're doing it, right? And that's something that I know I have to course correct. And so I'm going to spend more time in the neighborhoods, because here's the thing: when people become aware of the work and the love and the attention and the intentionality around my administration, then they appreciate that work. And but I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge, though, that I do understand the frustration that our people have. I do, and it does break my heart, Noonie, because I don't want to let our people down. I had the same mentality when I taught in our classrooms, right? I mean, I didn't want to let our young people down when I taught in Cabrini, or I taught at Westinghouse, or even as an organizer. And so I believe the best way in which, I can demonstrate, my love is through power and action. And that's why, again, we're coming into a budget season. There are things that I know the Black community wants. And so I'm going to need voices across the city to help me pass a budget to be able to make those investments so that our people can live comfortably in our communities and we can repopulate the city of Chicago with our people.
And that's what I've been doing. I don't get it too with a lot of people. When I talk to people like Noonie, go. I said, do your homework, come back, and let me know if I'm wrong. They go back like, hey man, this dude doing a lot of stuff, man. I said, yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. But if they don't know, I said, I need you to spread it out. I'm telling you, they'll tell you, I need you to spread it out, man. Tell your Facebook, tell your Instagram, everything, man. The man, I'm telling you, man. I said, he remind me of Harold Washington, he remind me of Barack, you know what I mean? But he's Brandon Johnson. He's doing his own thing. I said, all this stuff, man, and then people come like, hey man, but then that we had a conversation, man. I'm gonna get the last word, and we're gonna cut it. I say, man, Brandon, I say, the Republicans and all them is paying these people to put that false stuff out against you. I know how this go. He was like, no, that's what I'm telling you. I'm in the streets. I know what they doing. It coming a lot of people back and forth, and then some of the guys turning it down, some guys ain't because they need the money. You know what I mean? I said, but so when I talked to the guy, I said, man, y'all gonna put that? I said, no, we need the money, man. I said, man, y'all start doing this before the man got a chance to get their foot wet, man. Now get his feet wet first, then you just give him 2-3 years, then come at him. You know what I mean? If he ain't doing what you think he should be doing. But I know he is. So when I was telling you that, a lot of this stuff they know and give because they keep on giving it to him. Keep on. Ken Griffin, all those people paying that, all them top Republicans, because they want the city back. And you doing good, man. I ain't just saying it because you sitting there. You doing good. So it was like, oh, this nigga, yeah. Be honest with you. No, we can't have this. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
so
Noonie,
you get the last say way up, and then because my man, Chris,
yeah, no, I appreciate this time, and my accountability is to the people of Chicago,
right,
and those who made it possible for me to be here. One thing that I want to make sure that it's emphatically clear, that the very individuals who ran this city into the ground, I owe them nothing.
There you go.
I owe them nothing.
There you go. I agree with you 100%.
They didn't make me. They didn't promote me. They didn't support me. And most of them probably never will. And it is well past time that the people of this city, in particular our people, get a chance to fully experience the fullness of what this city has to offer. And this does not come at the expense of other people losing. I don't believe in that. And that's why I've worked very hard to build safe and affordable communities. Listen, there's nothing more important to me than the success and the joy of our people. The people who are harmed in this city, they look like me, Noonie.
Exactly.
The vast majority of individuals who are caught up in violence, who succumb to homicides, they look like me. We're talking about black boys between the ages of 10
yes.
and up to 24.
Yes.
And so that's why I've worked very hard to put forth this bond investment, to hire our young people, to reopen mental health clinics, to ensure that we're building more affordable homes, that we're driving violence down in the city of Chicago. That's my life work. And, I think it's important that the city of Chicago hear directly from me. And I appreciate you, Brother Noonie, for the work that you are providing.
Man, you do me one favor.
Sure.
The type of man you are, how you stand up, you don't let them push you this, push you that way. I be getting out to you, man. Look at your boy, man. And you be saying some stuff, man. Keep doing that, man.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got to say. Keep doing that, man. Don't change, man. Keep doing it. Go at them, man. When they come at you, man. I mean, even with some of the aldermen, I ain't gonna stay.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't mentioned their names today.
No, I ain't gonna
but
say
I will say this. I'm glad you mentioned how the Republican Party has put forth a concerted effort to undermine black mayors across this country. Right. So they're doing it to Brandon Scott in Baltimore. They've tried it with Randall Woodfin in Birmingham. They've come after Karen Bass in Los Angeles. They've come after Barbara Lee in Oakland. They've come after Justin Bibbs in Cleveland. They've gone after Cavalier Johnson in Milwaukee, right? This is a concerted effort to undermine black political power, and we're not going to surrender. The tyrant that's in the White House, not only are we going to stand up to Donald Trump, but we're going to resist him vehemently, because the city of Chicago has been known for decades as a place of resistance. You know, the city that said, keep hope alive, right? The city that took Ida B. Wells and the writings and the stories of Ida B.
Yes,
Wells to
yes.
tell our story abroad. The city that said, yes, we can, that put forth the first Black president of the United States of America. And so as we invest in people, as we invest on the west and south sides of Chicago, as our economy continues to grow, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that our people get a chance to participate in a real way. So thank you, Brother
Thank you,
Noonie.
man. And man,
Appreciate you, man.
I'm on the battlefield for you.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for tuning in to my podcast, Noonie G Voice of the Street. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank his staff for setting this up. And I need y'all to do me one favor, y'all. When it's time to vote, when it's time to get out there, please, man, vote for this man. The mayor is doing a good job. Y'all gonna see. Okay, so thank y'all. Till next time, peace.